Morning, guys. This is Bullish Bears Dan looking at a bull flag. We got CANF penny stock with some news. Morning Shock, Arthur, Squishy, Theen, all my friends. Hope you guys are having a great day, great morning so far. So yeah, this one, there's not much on the gap scan this morning. So yesterday, we didn't do a watch list yesterday, which is rare, but it seems to happen very often on Fed days, which are, I believe, always Wednesdays for those type of announcements. So we said, the heck with it. We're not going to do our regular watch list, kind of figure out how the market's going to react. So really just going off the Trade Ideas gap scan today. And we got some of the typical major stocks I like to trade options on. Apple, sometimes Amazon. I'll trade calls and puts, usually closer to Fridays. And then, of course, SPY. I'll go over all of these. SunPower, Snap. You can see just Snap, AMD, Apple, Amazon. They're all making similar type of momentum downward patterns. You know, so looks like we're going to be bears for a while, most likely. Screen shouldn't be too blurry. That's weird. Hopefully it improves. Could be a bandwidth issue, but so let's get into it. Let's jump back over to the main screen, and let me get level 2 and all that stuff out of the way. This should clear up the screen a little bit. As you guys know, if you've been watching me stream in the past, I'm very focused on price action. Is very important to me. Patterns, momentum moving averages, and just looking at CANF, you know, just broke above 350 briefly. Now in this typical consolidation triangle. The volume is a leader for sure. It's on the high side. This float is low, so we're up about 14%. We've got just over 1 million on the float side. Not sure about the short float because Trade Ideas, oddly enough, sometimes does not show the short float on some stocks. They just don't have the data on it. But just looking at the pattern, it looks like we're making a megaphone pattern. We got decent volume. Let's let this consolidate. You guys know the drill. 9 EMA, 5 minute. I just put out a video recently about this. I do think this is going to at least have some bounce play on it. We'll see what it does into the bell. I'd like to see this consolidate and bounce somewhere on this 9 EMA, 5 minute. And we can potentially take a long over 350. And what we really need to watch out for, this might surprise some of you, others expected this. I'm going to show Trend Spider. I've got an hourly versus weekly chart here. Just wanted to show you guys the major trend of the stock has been to pump and dump. So it's been really trapped below this 350 range. This is the first time it's kind of ventured up to touch this weekly 9 EMA, which is a sign of potential reversal, momentum reversal. It didn't quite touch it, but it came close enough. And if we switch to a daily chart, we shall see that, daily moving averages, sorry. We've got hourly price action. There's not really any daily moving averages down here. We have the 9, the 20, the 50. Over here, I got the 34. There's really a decent bundling of moving averages here. Where's the 20? Yeah, 20's down here too. So this is good. This can, if this decides to, you know, hang out up in this upper 350 zone, we see volume come in, nice pattern. This could be a good momentum long, and we would look to maybe take a look at some Fibonacci levels. Let's see, there's no Fibonacci on the daily in the way. So this could be a good one. We might just have to do a just pure momentum ride the 9 type play on this today if it has a setup that we like. So
We're only seeing a black screen, Dan.
Let me see. I gotta turn that down. What was that, Squishy? I didn't quite hear you.
Only seeing a only seeing a black screen.
Hang on, I gotta change my. That's my bad, guys. I have sound going through my speakers, and I'm wearing a headset, so it sounds like crap. Okay, now I fixed it. I'm gonna make you say that one more time, or you can type it. Yep. All right. Let me make sure that that's working right. I'm just gonna reshare my screen. Okay. All right. So hopefully you guys will see my screen. Um, good. Thanks, guys. So someone asked about Shopify. Shopify, we had a gap up and rejection from the daily trend line. Don't see any daily moving averages in the way. We got most of our momentum moving averages are below on the daily time frame. We got the 9 down here, 20, 50. So if we go back and look at the hourly versus daily, we can see price action's been contained by these trend lines. This is likely to continue. So what we really want to see are prints above these resistance zones. Here you can see 338 has been pretty solid. There's been a lot of failure. Actually, I would say 338.75 here on my cursor, where we've got some pretty major rejections. And we got over it for a second, but we're back below already. So you look at these shorter time frames and you look for that type of signal. And I like to look at hourly charts a lot, so I'll look for these short-term trends. Being an intraday trader, I want to know where these hourly trend lines are because they're built in the pre-market and after hours. So, just looking at daily trend lines is not enough. Bears.com. Cool. I'm just typing our email out in YouTube. So, guys, that's Shopify. You're right. You got that 338. That's a big area. 338, 339 on the daily zone. We're going to look for, if we're going to trade options or day trade this thing today, we're going to look for this 9 EMA 5 minute to be curling up. Some type of maybe cup and handle pattern, some type of giant bull flag or triangular consolidation pattern. We need something like that to want to go long on this today, especially with the way that the market is. So that being said, that is shop. Let me switch over to my other watch list here and put this over there. And let's look at SunPower. So SunPower had earnings today. I like this kind of consolidation, right? So this is an earnings gap up. We got a kind of nice consolidation triangle up here. If I switch to TOS, I'll be able to show you guys a little bit better. Whoops, SPWR. There goes my dyslexia. Alright, so I love these kinds of consolidation patterns after a gap up for news or earnings, whatever the catalyst is. It's nice, right? And we've got momentum moving averages underneath us to support us. We're above VWAP. We want to see this thing flag out, and then we want to see volume come in either at the base or some kind of cup and handle forming at the right angle resistance on the top side of this particular pattern for us to want to go take a long side of this trade. So, that would look like a cup and handle forming in here, breakout. And if we jump back over to SunPower, let's just see if we got any daily. So we broke above these major daily trend lines. That's good. Looks like support bouncing right off those daily trend lines, so that's nice. That's around 1340. So, it's a moving target, but I would say 13, you can see 1340, 1340. So any wash to 1340, this would likely be a good entry for some kind of bounce play. And again, cup and handle through here, bull flag breakout off of this trend line would be very welcome. And then lastly, let's just make sure there's no surprise weekly moving averages. So I'll switch my time frames. Man, we're above the 200 weekly. There's really not much in the way other than candlestick resistance, which we're already above all this. These 4-hour candles haven't updated yet. So sun power is definitely high on the list, especially with the way the market is today. There's not many good long opportunities that I'm seeing that are momentum longs. Let's see, just going back through the chat, LBY looks good. Okay, we can take a look at that. I want to go over SPY really quick, as I said I would. And I'm a man of my word. So SPY, dramatic sell-off, V-bottom, sell-off. We're now in this channel. Looks like we're breaking out of this channel to the downside. Momentum moving averages in the way, VWAP in the way. Lots of overhead now, so there's lots of drama now with the interest rate hike. And, you know, okay, so yeah, this is the first time we've cut rates since 2008. You know, is the economy slowing? Everyone is going to start, you know, speculating a little bit more now that the Fed has, you know, taken some action, decided to cut rates. And we're not really here to debate that, but the way that markets react, we definitely care about. And looking at some of the price action dips down to these lower levels, this was really strong. Obviously, this dip was majorly bought by somebody, right? They put the brakes on. I've heard the term plunge protection team thrown around, right? So you can see we had some major step in intervention in the 296.50 zone, but the technical damage has been done, and this thing is really bear flagging. So what we can look for now that we have this these, well, not even quite lower lows on the hourly. Yeah, I had these wicks here. I would look for this to at least retest this 296.30 level on SPY sometime soon. Doesn't have to be today, but it can be soon. We just look at, right? We have this widening, potential widening channel on SPY. These rising wedges can continue to rise. We could have a rising wedge. We could be building a new one. So in bullish markets, you get these rising wedge, then another rising wedge, and it falls out, and the rising wedge widens and creates some other type of consolidation or triangle pattern within. And the next thing you know, you're surprised to see, oh, I thought this rising wedge was going to be a huge bearish reversal. Nope, market tricked you, and another rising wedge forms. So that's very common. The thing that would negate that would be our momentum moving averages starting to give us a hint at the weakness of this. And right now, yeah, we're below the 200 SMA on the hourly. That is potential for a momentum changeover. This 200 SMA really, for me, if you go back and look at the hourly, because I really love the hourly charts, you can see 200 SMA rolled over here, right? It tried to fight to get back above, and then eventually there was a trend line that was broken, and the momentum was too much for the bulls to stand, and they jumped out. But just looking at the daily chart, right, here's another bigger rising wedge. Okay, and we're kind of in the middle of this wedge, so you got a rising wedge within a rising wedge. That's what I was talking about. We might hit this, well, here is the 34, right? That was kind of on the daily. We got the 50 down here. I mean, the way this 9 EMA is curling, we're probably going to see some more lower candles form in this lower range, down in the 296.30s at the very least. But, you know, it feels like time for this to pull back to this, at least this rising wedge lower angle before the dip, right? Before the dip is really bought. And then, of course, if we get the 50 and the 200 starting to roll over, then the market gets ugly. But right now, the 50 is pointing up. So there really isn't any need to panic. There shouldn't be a global panic from the bulls because a lot of our momentum moving averages are still pointing up, and that means the trend is still up, regardless of how ugly and nasty it is and where we bought along that trend. It's okay. So we can take a deep breath. Yep, Casey, you can put in whatever tickers. You guys can say whatever you want in our YouTube chat. That's totally fine. All right, so that's SPY. Let's take a look at AMD. So AMD earnings were not received too well. We did have a pullback to the 50 and close below, which is pretty bearish. There's usually some continuation. We lost the daily trend line. That's usually a little bit ugly, not so good for a stock to have that kind of technical damage done to it. It is potentially going to bounce. For me to like AMD, I want to see these 5-minute moving averages really flatten out, start to bundle up, curl up, and then I'm going to watch for volume to come in. I could see AMD quickly getting squeezed to 32. Right now it's at, what's it shooting around 30.50. So there's a good $1.50 squeeze potential on AMD. So it is going to stay on my watch list for a bounce play, and then enter a short position or enter into some puts and try to ride some further momentum down if the signal shows up. Let me take a look at Apple. So Apple earnings, gap up, gap and go yesterday was sweet. Then you had, of course, consolidation. And you had a descending triangle that broke out to the downside right around the FOMC meeting shortly thereafter, right? Comments were coming out. And so you got all this. So an otherwise good earnings, bulls were excited about Apple, but unfortunately Apple earnings had to be on FOMC day. So technical damage done there. And it really sucks. So we have potential. This is a lot of patterns are doing this in the pre-market hours, after hours. They're kind of making this like, this isn't really a true cup and handle. I mean, it's shaped like one, but the cup and handle should be continuation patterns. It looks like they're down channels or falling wedges being formed. So we need to, really watch and see what happens here at the bell. Again, below the momentum moving averages. That's across the board. That's if you look at Apple, if you look at Amazon, right? You see this kind of like broken low volume cup and handle downtrend. We're in a short-term downtrend on a lot of these stocks, and I don't find it to be a good time to try to buy the dip yet until some of these momentum moving averages start to change. Yeah, Jonas, I'm hooking you up right now. I want you to, if you guys are having trouble logging in, we did some site maintenance and it looks like a few people had problems with their logins last night. So I'm fixing that for you right now. And what I want you to do is go in and clear your cache and cookies on your browser. Make sure you're completely logged out and clear your cache and cookies on your browser, and then try to log back in, and you should be good to go, Jonas. So that is, yep, AMD, Apple, SunPower, CANF, SPY. We covered some good ones. And what else are we looking at? No problem, Jonas. We can look at PG. Procter and Gamble. Are you looking at this one? So one of our chat room members, my bare feet, is looking at this. Is there a potential triangle here? The volume is obviously really low. We really want to see what's going to happen here at the bell. I'm excited. So what I'm going to do is throw up my 8-chart setup with my 5-minute charts, and I've got Snap also up here. TVIX I need to watch. TVIX is making a cup and handle right now, and looks like it wants to flesh out an ascending pattern. So we'll look for further volatility spike today on the VIX. There might be some VIX plays for people. We really want to see what SPY is going to do here. Is it going to be able to break 298.30s? Again, my lower side target on SPY is 296.30s, low 296.30. So there's a good range to trade on SPY today. All right, YouTube, I'm going to shut YouTube down, reclaim some of my bandwidth that I appear to be spending wildly. I'm looking at some of my health meters. My bandwidth is a little bit low, which is crazy because I have 400 down and 20 up for my provider, and that's pretty good. So, you YouTubers have a great day. Come join us in the trade room, and we'll keep the party going there. Looking for setups. I think there's some really good options trades, guys. Small caps are kind of going to be hit or miss. Today I like CANF, and I like SunPower. That's pretty much it right now. So we will see you guys on the other side. Ciao for now.